Hey everyone, and welcome to a brand new style of video I'm calling Smitty 250. I'm your host, Tyler Smith, aka Smitty, and I will have 250-second countdown to recap all 32 NHL teams and their respective season. Once the timer hits 0, my time is up, and without further ado, let's kick it onto the intro. It's another rebuild year in Anaheim, but Leo Carlsson and Lucas Dahlstrom look to be key pieces to build on for the future. The Boston Bruins are last place in the Eastern Conference and look to retool next year with David Pastrnak and Jeremy Swayman. The Buffalo Sabres will miss playoffs for the 14th straight season, with coach Lindy Ruff's second stint in Buffalo not going the way he had planned. The Calgary Flames hold on to the second wildcard spot, with Dustin Wolf looking to be a legit starting goaltender for years to come. The Carolina Hurricanes struggled during the deadline, trading for Mikko Rantanen. However, he said he would not re-sign with the team, and Martin Necas, going back the other way, looks to be a top-line threat in Colorado. The Blackhawks do have Connor Bedard, but he does need help on the wing as soon as possible. It is another rebuild year. The Avalanche trade for Necas and Nelson at the deadline and proved to be great depth for their team, as well as Nathan MacKinnon making a legit conversation to be the best player in the league this season. The Blue Jackets were in a playoff spot earlier in the year, however their wheels fell off just at the worst time. They look to rebuild for next year. The Stars are my Stanley Cup favorites, with Mikko Rantanen really starting to gel in the lineup and depth all throughout their entire roster. The Red Wings benefit from a mid-season coaching change, hiring Todd McClellan, and look to get back in the playoffs with their young, scrappy lineup. The Oilers, you can never quite count out McDavid or Draisaitl, however goaltending continues to be a question moving into the postseason. Panthers are your defending Stanley Cup champions, however, have been riddled with the injury bug as they look to get players back for their postseason run. The Kings benefit greatly from a revitalized season from Darcy Kemper in the back of the net, proving to be one of the league's top goaltenders this year. The Wild had an incredible first half of the season, however, their second half they struggled immensely. They look to get Marc-Andre Fleury one last cup before he retires. The Canadiens are back in a playoff spot with their young, scrappy lineup, with players like Nick Suzuki and Lane Hudson leading the way. The Predators were labeled off-season champions, but have turned into regular season disasters. Their free agent moves looked great on paper, but haven't translated well into the lineup. The Devils, they make a playoff push, however they're missing guys such as Jack Hughes and Dougie Hamilton. Players like Bratt, Hischier, and Meyer look to pick up the scrap that they leave behind. The Islanders, Sorokin is playing pretty much every game he can, however consistent scoring proves to be a continued issue in New York. On the other side of New York, the lights seem to be too bright as Chris Kreider and Mika Zibanejad regress immensely in point production, and Shesterkin can't quite carry the team like he has in years past. The Senators are very likely to make the playoffs with sturdy goaltending such as Linus Ullmark. The Flyers, they know they're in a rebuild year, however Matvei Michkov is the real deal. He's going to be a young, exciting player for Flyers for the future. The Penguins are older, with Crosby and Malkin getting up in their age. They're going to miss the playoffs. However, the Sharks are a young rebuilding team with lots of promise, as Macklin Celebrini is a legit Rookie of the Year candidate. The Kraken will miss the playoffs, however they're still struggling to find that identity since becoming an expansion team. They look to weaponize their $16 million plus cap space during the offseason. The Blues are the hottest team in the league, reminiscent of their 2019 Cup run. RFA signings such as Dylan Holloway and Philip Broberg have proven to work out great for their roster. The Lightning replaced Steven Stamkos with Jake Gensel and has proven to work immensely for them. They'll be back in a playoff spot, and you can never quite count them out when it comes to the postseason. The Maple Leafs look to be a top seed in the Atlantic for the first time in quite some time, and Mitch Marner's next contract is going to be worth every penny that he's paid. Utah Hockey Club will miss the playoffs, however they're happy to have a team in Utah. The vibes are up, and Clayton Keller is a legit top-line threat. The Canucks get rid of JT Miller, however Elias Pettersson still hasn't been able to pick up in that point production. They look to scrap this year and look forward to next year. The Golden Knights are a perennial contender, with Eichel embracing the city of Las Vegas. They're going to be a threat in the West. The Capitals, man, Ovechkin breaks the scoring record, and young players like McMichael, Protas, and Dubois, and Thompson all stepping up the lineup, being legit threats in the East. Finally, the Jets, they look incredible, looking to win a President's Trophy with Connor Hellebuck being a legit MVP candidate in the back of the net. With all that being said, though, thanks for joining me in this race against the clock in the first edition of Smitty 250.